Hey, what's going on, guys? Xbox All in China, host Sega Forever here. Like I said on my previous video, I'm trying to do a couple of different things on the channel. I don't even know if I'm doing this right. I'll be honest with you, haven't figured everything out. But there was a video that I watched. I believe it was last week, and I rewatched it today, and then we're gonna go over this. But it was a good video done by the Wall Street Journal, talking about technically the business of Xbox. There's a more specific title. Um, to their videos called Xbox Lost the Console War. Now it's redefining gaming. And I can tell you guys on my channel that I've pretty much given up on the gaming media, and definitely on a lot of the influencers out there, right? Because when you talk about stuff, they don't really understand what they're talking about, and it's not some of it's not malicious. It's not. It's mostly out of ignorance that they do this kind of thing, right? So, as a person like myself who actually is an Xbox player and I own the console. I'm in their ecosystem, like I say all the time on my videos. I want to give a different perspective, right? So as you guys, as we watch this video together, because I kind of want to break it down, um, I'm going to try and channel my inner Tyrone Magnus, right? I don't know anything about the copyright stuff and anything like that, dude. All I know is I do not monetize my videos. So if this gets striked, I don't. It might not. I don't know, right? But it's just something I wanted to do because, like I tell you guys on my channel all the time, and I gotta do stuff that's different. And I just found this video really interesting, right? So outside of the spaces that we occupy when it comes to gaming, right, as consumers and fans, especially, for me, I like to do this kind of things and go outside the box a little bit and focus from different perspectives. And a lot of that comes from the business side because if you guys rock out with Xbox, you guys know they're owned by Microsoft, and Microsoft is a huge corporation, one of the biggest corporations in the world, not just in the US, but in the world. So a lot of the stuff that they do um, sets a lot of precedent all over the globe, right? Have a lot of money, they have a lot of influence. We're not going to go down the political part of this thing. I just wanted to focus on the Xbox specifically. And the way we're going to do it is I'm going to play the video and we'll watch it together. And when there's things that pop up that I want to address or talk about, then I'll stop the video and then I'll talk about it. Hopefully the audio won't be too bad. Please bear with me, guys. Like I said, man, I'm not the most technically savvy. Shout out to my boy Unlimited Productions. He got it down on lock. I'll try and do as good as I can, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. And we're streaming now, so yeah. I guess the one thing I'm worried about is the volume, because I can't really tell. Hopefully the volume won't be too low. And yeah, but let's do it. Hold on.
This is the Xbox Series X, Microsoft's most powerful flagship console. For a long time, you needed an Xbox to play games like Halo or Gears of War. Then Microsoft decided you don't. So it launched a monthly subscription service that lets users play the latest games on a bunch of other devices. But it's increasingly competitive and will take a lot of investment to make it work. So will this shift pay off? And what does it mean for the future of the console? This is the economics of Xbox. Today, with more than 30 game studios, Xbox is an industry mainstay.
But it had to really earn that position in the market.
The console war began in the 1970s, when video game companies started competing to create a more powerful console and win more customers. By the 90s, the biggest players were...
Okay, just real quickly, guys. So when they're saying console war, just keep this in mind. The console war that they're talking about now is more or less a brand war. It's not a console war. Okay. When you're showing the Atari and the Intellivision, right? That's the time that I kind of came up in gaming and arcades as well, right? So back then, there was like consoles war, quote unquote, but just keep this in mind. Gaming wasn't as big as it is now. A lot of people that play games, it was very niche. So a lot of people that play games were actually gamers, as opposed to now. You have a lot of people who are casuals, dabblers, people that are not hardcore gamers, because you don't need to be anymore, right? It's more accepted, especially in society. When I was growing up, that wasn't the case. It was something that was kind of looked down upon, kind of like with everything else that I talk about on my channel, whether it's video games, comic books, collecting stuff, right? That was a very niche thing. It was a very nerd and geek thing to do. and it wasn't just accepted in regular society. Now, I'm not trying to say that people was out there trying to take us out and stuff like that, but you were looked down upon, and there was a stigma definitely associated with it, right? So I just wanted to put that out there because when they're talking about this report, um, because a lot of the people that are gaming now don't have that background. Like shout out to Hebot, the world's most powerful gamer. He talks about this all the time, right? It's because the culture has changed and it's more acceptable. So when you talk about console war back then, it's different. It's just like being a comic book fan back then. I talk about it on the channel all the time. I like Marvel. Some of my friends like DC, Detective Comics, right? And then we would argue about which comic was better, right? Which superhero was better. Right? We do that all the time. But at the end of the day, we love comic books, so we'd read everything and we would collect everything. Your preference might have been for me was Marvel, especially X-Men, right? Avengers. A lot of these. I read a lot of Thor, Iron Man, right? Back in the day, that was my preferred comic book. But a lot of times, I would find myself, gravitating towards DC, right? Because they would have stuff too, right? So that's the same thing what it was back in the day with video games. You might like a brand, or you might, for most part, dude, you might only have one console. Just because if you had a console at all, man, because this wasn't accepted by consoles, right? You were lucky. Like I had friends that had consoles. That's how I ended up playing some of them, right? And so when you're thinking about gaming, like how these guys are thinking about gaming now, to look at a console war, is totally different. Right? What you have right now is more or less a brand war. Because back in the day, again, you have Nintendo, right? Then you have Nintendo Sega. That was probably closer to a console war by today's definition, right? But it wasn't until PlayStation came into the market that it became a brand war, right? Because Sony had brand recognition. And what I mean by that is Sony had brand recognition outside of video games, right? And I know this firsthand because I bought a lot of their products because I like their electronics. And at that time, Japan was dominating electronics, and Sony was the preferred brand for a lot of different things, and that's why they got into the console market, and that's what changed it. I made it the console war / the brand war that we have now. Okay, just wanted to put that out there, give you guys some perspective. Because what I'm gonna try and do in this, like this is a great piece. I mean, outside of this, if you get a chance, just go watch it on your own, and then come up with your own thoughts and stuff like that. But this is I'm not trying to down. This is actually really a good art. Good video. Okay. What I want to do is I just want to give you guys some perspective because there's some narratives that exist now that need to change. And that's the stuff that bothers me the most. So
For Sony, Nintendo, and Sega. And in 1997, consumer spending on consoles surpassed arcades for the first time. A few years later, Microsoft entered the scene with its first generation Xbox. To entice customers into their ecosystems, most of these companies tried to keep the prices on their consoles as low as possible, selling them at a loss. Xbox loses up to $200 per console, but the brands made up the difference by selling games and other accessories.
The more consoles you sell, the more software you're going to sell with it.
The PlayStation outsold the Xbox every single time. Microsoft only
okay, sorry, just gonna chime in here really quickly. Now the focus of this video is on Xbox itself. That's why they said how much that Xbox loses. They didn't really talk about PlayStation and Nintendo, and they all do. And if you're one of these people that always like to put up console sales, right? For PlayStation and Nintendo, because supposedly, I don't know if you look at this chart, right, they sell more than Xbox. So as much as they sell, they also incur more losses. Why am I bringing that up? This has to do with a lot of stuff that's going on with all three of these companies right now, especially in this current economy. So just keep that in mind.
came close to beating Sony with the Xbox 360. Analysts say this was because the PlayStation 3, which ran customers up to $600, was priced too high. But the Xbox lost ground with the next generation, and ultimately, it lost the console war. In 2017, Xbox launched Game Pass, positioning itself as a services brand.
It's more interested in making content available to people, whatever device they choose to play on.
Game Pass is a tiered service. The least expensive plans offer gaming on either console or PC, and the most expensive plan has multi-device gaming and other features like streaming games from the cloud and access to certain games the day they're released. In essence, Microsoft is betting that it can get more customers if they don't have to buy a console. This model also gives the company a recurring revenue stream, so it doesn't have to rely as much on blockbuster successes.
So Game Pass solves the problem on the consumer side by making lots of content available for cheap, and on the business or the supply side in terms of offsetting the financial volatility associated with entertainment.
Microsoft's head of gaming, Phil Spencer, has said Game Pass is profitable.
And I think it will stay in that 10 to 15% of our overall revenue.
But Microsoft isn't the only one stepping into.
Yeah, so just really quickly, guys, just to let you guys know, Microsoft, when it comes to their products, and specifically with Xbox, they're going to meet you wherever you are. That's something that I just want to let everybody know out there, because a lot of times when this stuff gets discussed about Microsoft going digital, Microsoft using the cloud, all this kind of stuff that they're talking about now, it's usually from the viewpoint of Microsoft leaving everything behind. Okay. And Microsoft has never done that. If you guys are like me and you guys bleed green or your Xbox all in, right, and you guys are actually own the console, are subscribed to Game Pass, and are in the ecosystem, you realize that Microsoft is going to meet their consumers wherever they're going to be, whether it's going to be on console, on cloud, PC, mobile. They're doing all of that. I know for some of us guys who are Xbox guys, we might not agree with some of the stuff that Microsoft and Phil is doing, right? But then again, right? This I'm saying this is for Xbox guys specifically. You can't talk to people on the PlayStation side, people in the gaming media, right? They have a certain slant when it comes to their perspective when it comes to gaming, right? Because everything is PlayStation focused, right? The reason why I'm talking about this specifically is because it has to boil down with everything that you consume on Xbox. Because at the end of the day, you're just not a fan like myself. I'm a consumer, right? I spend a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy into the Xbox ecosystem, into the Microsoft ecosystem, so to speak, right? So these guys aren't wrong in what they're saying, right? But at the end of the day, if you guys own a console, you don't worry in the sense that consoles are going to be around for a while, because and then Microsoft makes a lot of money on the consoles, right? And then when you talk about the digital, that's true too. Phil Spencer talked about it in an interview. I wish I was good enough to clip that and put that on there right now. But what Phil Spencer was saying is they probably lost the worst generation they could lose, right? Because with the Xbox One, it was going totally digital, right? And we all know the history of the Xbox One, how much hate it got, unwarranted hate. Had a lot of great games, was positioned with a lot of great tech. A lot of the stuff that people are doing now, Xbox One was way ahead of its time, right? But there's a lot of hate and vitriol in both from the opposite side as well as the gaming media. So just keep that in mind.
To the subscription world. In 2022, Sony merged its subscription services, PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now, and relaunched it to compete with Game Pass. There are two key things that give Microsoft an edge. First, it's a much larger company with lots and lots of money. And for the past decade, Microsoft has been using that money to acquire game studios, beefing up its library. In 2014,
That's what I tell you guys all the time. That's Microsoft's superpower, right? Is their money. At the end of the day, right? It's ridiculous the amount of money they have. And again, if you're an Xbox guy, just keep that in mind. Don't worry as much.
it bought Mojang, the maker of Minecraft, for $2.5 billion. In 2021, it bought ZeniMax Media, owner of Fallout and Doom, for $8.1 billion. And in 2023, it finalized the purchase of Activision Blizzard, the maker of Call of Duty and Candy Crush, for $75.4 billion.
To put it in perspective, that is a little bit less than what Sony makes annually.
Second, as a giant tech company, Microsoft owns lots and lots of data centers, over 300 worldwide, some of which help support Game Pass and cloud gaming.
The incumbents like Nintendo and Sony, they live and die on great content and this magnificent retail distribution infrastructure that they've built. So it's in Microsoft's interest to push into its data centers.
So just keep this in mind as well, right? He's talking about the infrastructure. You saw how well that did when the pandemic kicked off, and everybody was at home, but then a lot of the supply chain was broken, right? So there's challenges with that as well. That's probably something that Microsoft looked at and learned from, right? That's one thing you got to keep in mind. Microsoft, with Xbox especially, is trying to learn from all this stuff, right? So that supply chain broke, and a lot of this stuff you just couldn't. I remember because a lot of people were trying to buy stuff like Switches. I know this for a fact. My daughter wanted Animal Crossing. Right, it came out, but it was hard to get Switches because everybody was buying them, right? So supply chain stuff. I mean, yeah, it is what it is, but it's not no rainbows and butterflies sometimes with that as well. Just keep that in mind.
And its infrastructure in the cloud, because it can't beat Sony and Nintendo at retail.
This puts it in an arena that mainly other massive tech companies like Amazon, Nvidia, and Google can really compete in. But there are lots of obstacles. To start, adoption has been slow. In 2020, it targeted 71% subscriber growth and reached 86%. But the following year, it fell short. And in 2022, it missed its target by a long shot.
Some people are just not comfortable with the idea of not actually owning a game. They may want to play a game, put it down for 6 months and pick it up later, or a year later or more. And it may not be in the subscription service anymore after that time.
So as of 2024, Game Pass has amassed 34 million subscribers. Some of the biggest challenges are specific to cloud gaming, a feature included in Game Pass's top tier. Traditionally, game data was stored locally on cartridges, discs, or downloaded straight to the console. With online multiplayer games, data like each player's actions were streamed. But with cloud gaming, the entire game is streamed to your device, which can be laggy.
If it's a competitive game, a millisecond can mean the difference between winning and losing.
Cloud gaming is also expensive to operate.
The economics have changed, but they haven't immediately changed to only run a profit. Both of those offerings, whether those are product-based and conventional or whether they are streaming and more digital, both of those run at a loss in principle, but to recuperate and to earn money in those contexts is a very different proposition.
One report found that just 6% of gamers around the world were subscribed to a cloud gaming service in 2023. Still, experts believe it will grow substantially.
Cloud gaming is one of those.
So just really quickly on the cloud gaming, I understand what they're saying. For me personally, cloud gaming was never something that I liked until recently for the last couple months. More to do with where I live. It's just that it wouldn't work for me, right? But just keep this in mind. A lot of the stuff that you can do in Game Pass, a lot of those games, they're available to download, right? So you don't have to use the cloud. And I can say after the last 3 or 4 months that I've been using the cloud, Microsoft is definitely getting better. It's funny because they brought up the energy thing. Wait, let's see if I can go back. Oh, where is it? I lost it. But it's an option, and I think and I 100% believe it's going to get better. Because one of the things that's holding the cloud back, right, is the whole energy debate, right? In fact, it's kind of funny. I forget how gangster Microsoft is sometimes. Just like last week, they started promoting, and it was before and during Tokyo Game Show. There's a lot of stuff that was popping up on social media, especially in my feed. Microsoft kind of touting their carbon footprint, so to speak, right? And how proud they were of it. And then the following week, that was prior to Tokyo Game Show. Then the following week during Tokyo Game Show, there's an article that I saw that got released that talking about how Microsoft is trying to reactivate what's that, 3 Mile Island, the nuclear power plant. I believe that's 3 Mile Island. I think it's in Pennsylvania somewhere, right? Which was funny to me that I'm sitting there going, they're touting their record as green, right? And here they are going with nuclear energy. Because at the end of the day, guys, man, look, green energy is not going to cut it. A lot of these, and this is not just Microsoft, all of these tech giants know that are focusing on AI and focusing on cloud. They all this stuff draws a lot of power, and our grid right now can't handle it. If you haven't had a chance to study energy, you should go and look at it. Now, look, dude, I'm not an anti-solar panel, all this kind of stuff, right? I'm just saying, like, a lot of the stuff that people believe it can do, it can't. And a lot of it is driven by the fact that people just hate other sources of energy, like let's just be honest, coal and oil, for various reasons. Some of them, they make great arguments. Some justified, I'll be honest. And for the most part, though, I mean, the reason why it works so well is because we've had years of refining, and plus our technology is way different. And that's the same thing with nuclear. Technology has changed so much. Now, whether people are going to embrace that or not, that might not matter, because at the end of the day, Microsoft and Amazon and all these guys that, these guys are big players, right? They need that energy source, right? And that's what they're going to do to move it forward. So anyway, sorry, I know that's on a side note, but I just thought that was just funny that they brought that up. So, but on the case of Xbox, when cloud gaming does become, because I can see that it is, right? And again, that's why I brought up the energy point, right? If they ever get that, right, to that point where it's going to be a 1-for-1, like the lady was saying, the lag it is a thing for me. It just doesn't work. It reminds me of Netflix when they first started going streaming, right? It's just a lot of artifacting. Like the thing would freeze. I have that problem now. I'm on an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so my experience is not like other people's experience. Like a lot of you guys in the Xbox community know Mr. 100, and he touts that all the time because he's been using cloud since the jump, and he's had no problems. Right. Now, if you live in a rural area or like again where I live, that might not you might have that same experience, right? Understandably. But I know over the last several months, man, that Microsoft has gotten way better. Xbox has gotten way better. I've actually played games without having to download them, right? Because the other side of that coin, when it comes to Game Pass, is disk space, right? Because a lot of these games are getting bigger and bigger, so to download them, and we don't have a lot of hard drive space. And for a lot of us, we have additional, right? You go get another drive, right, so that you can offload it. But because a lot of this stuff has the XNS for the Xbox, right? But they have those boosts and upgrades and stuff like that. So what you have to do is you keep it when you have it. You can download it onto an external hard drive, but then you have to put it back. You have to put it on your internal hard drive to play the game, right? Because a lot of the games, a lot of the companies, like third-party studios and stuff like that, they're taking advantage of the power of the Series X, right? So again, that's just one of the things that if you guys are like, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys use Game Pass like I do. You guys are familiar with these problems. But I mean, good points that they're making. I just want to give some perspective.
Those few components where they could possibly thrive and lead, even if that's a much more modestly sized industry.
Microsoft isn't getting rid of the Xbox anytime soon. Later this year, it will release new versions of its current generation, the Series X and S. But it's clear that Xbox views its content as the future of the company, not its hardware.
It is incredibly difficult for these large companies, in spite of their resources, to be agile and innovative. And so, they're always watching someone else just run the show. And so in many ways, you could make the argument that the current effort and investment towards Game Pass and xCloud and all of the things that they're building and acquiring goes towards perhaps finally being in the driver's seat for the first time,
giving it the chance to win whatever the new gaming war will be.
Yeah, so shout out to Wall Street Journal. Again, I highly recommend you guys, instead of staying in the same echo chamber when it comes to gaming, just really step outside your box every once in a while. Step outside your comfort zone and actually do the research on this stuff. Now, I'll be fair, man. If you guys follow me on social media, you guys know I'm a politically charged kind of guy. So for me, it's not really hard to do that. Hold on, let me get back to the thing. Oh, dude, I didn't even know. Okay, sorry. Am I live? See, this is what I'm talking. This is what I'm talking about, guys. I unlimited, man. I'm never gonna come close to you in doing this stuff, man, because I had no idea I was live because I was on the YouTube channel doing this. I am sorry, guys. I didn't know the chat was going on. My apologies. I'll get to the chat now. Unlimited production. What's up, brother? Hey, welcome. Speak of the devil. Gaming used to be seen as a geeky hobby. Gaming reminds me of a lot of comics. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Because it was such an enclosed community for a lot of us, and it wasn't accepted. It really wasn't, guys. If you guys are as old as I am, right? I'm in my 50s already, guys. So, the stuff that you see in movies or something like Stranger Things, like a show like Stranger Things, where they do a flashback to these times and they talk about being a geek and a nerd and stuff like that. Yeah, I was there. I lived it. That's why I do like Stranger Things, right? Because they pretty much hit the hammer on the head. A lot of people look down upon these type of hobbies, so it wasn't acceptable. So a lot of people that occupy these spaces, when it came to anything that was geek or nerd, right, would have this bond automatically, like kind of like us against them, kind of thing. Because it was a waste of time, it was a waste of money. It's for kids. Grow up. I heard it all. I would hear it all the time. Right, and so that's kind of what forged the community and made it strong, regardless of what system you're playing, or even if you played in an arcade as opposed to home system. A lot of us didn't have the money to afford these kind of things, man. Like I played, like I said on the video, or when I was talking earlier, I played a lot of this stuff because I had friends. Right, I had a Nintendo Entertainment System. My grandmother bought it for me, which I was surprised. Well, technically, my uncle bought it for me, but my grandmother asked because I was doing so well in school. And I had one game, Bayou Billy. No, 4 games because it was that 3-in-1. Came with Super Mario, Duck Hunt, and then the running game because I had the pad. And I had one game, Bayou Billy. That's it. And every other game that I played on Nintendo, my Nintendo system was because my friend. I had a friend that I worked with, and this dude had all the games. Man, his parents bought him everything. Right? He had all the Transformers, he had all the GI Joes. We all had that one friend that had everything. That's how a lot of times, man. Because I was poor, we didn't have nothing, right? And so a lot of times I play using my friend's stuff when you hang out at their house, or you bring their stuff to school, stuff like that. We unlimited production. We gamers love gaming, and the people making the games also liked it. Now, when game developer teams has hundreds making a game, I guarantee most of them just see gaming as a job, not a lifestyle. Yeah, 100%, 100%. That's the gaming media as well. I remember reading some of the stuff that we read back in the day, like Next Generation, all this kind of stuff. You could tell those guys were into the into gaming in and of itself. There were gamers that became journalists. Now you have journalists that are covering gaming. That's the difference. 100%, man. That's a good point. PS3 didn't sell until it dropped to $300. Sony is still suffering from the losses of the PS3. Yep, another great point. You know what Unlimited, you know what I can't stand about doing this? In my mind, I have all this stuff when I initially watch the video. And then when I do the video, I actually try and do it like I just did. I fail. So I didn't bring any of this stuff up. But you're 100% correct. The PS3, yeah, it really did hurt Sony a lot. Yeah, that $300 price tag, dude. I remember that when that thing launched. I knew a dude that actually paid like $1,500 for his when it launched. It's crazy. Unlimited production, recurring revenue. Others Inc. would be proud. That's what should have been on this, dude. Others Inc. Dude, Others Inc. could have broken that even better. Gogopol says Wall Street Journal clickbaiting F's like the rest of them. LOL. You know what, Gogo? When it comes to like Wall Street Journal or some of these other, especially the money channels, right, that talk about this kind of stuff, I already understand why they talk about things the way that they do, right? And I don't consider them gamers at all. That's why I kind of like their perspective, right? But just like anything else, they're drawing from the gaming media, right? They're getting their information from the gaming media. Where I see the differences is when they start putting up the numbers. And that's what I appreciate the most, because I don't need them to tell me anything about gaming in and of itself, especially when it comes to Xbox, right? Because we're in the ecosystem. I use it every day. Like for me, when I hear somebody say that Xbox has no games, I just laugh because I struggle every day to try and play my games. I'm trying to complete my games. Like currently, right now, what am I playing? No wait. What is the game that just came out? Tales of Mana. Yeah, Tales of Mana. Well, the one that they put in Game Pass, that was a Tokyo Game Show, right? I'm playing that. I was playing this weird indie game that was like only $4.99. It looked interesting to me. I bought it. I was addicted to that. I played that for several hours. I bought. There's a bunch of games that I bought just because they're on Game Pass, but I liked them so much. I just went ahead and bought them. Atlas Fallen was one of them. I bought. I finally bought Sandland. Right. It's not a Game Pass, but it was on sale, so I bought Sandland. I want to say I bought Dragon Quest. And then some of my Game Pass games that I like, I just bought them because I know I'm not going to come around and play them again in Game Pass because I'm trying out other stuff. So they're just added to my backlog. But I played the games. I like them a lot. As soon as if it's a game that I like, I just go ahead and purchase it. That's the kind of and that's the intangibles that a lot of people can't talk about when it comes to Xbox, because this is our life and we do this. We know firsthand. Like when Sarah Bond said something like, yeah, the interesting thing was when it came to Game Pass, we found out that not only people were playing a lot of games in Game Pass, but they were also buying the games. Now, the economy aside, right, that was a couple years ago when Sarah said that. 100% the economy is having an effect on all of this stuff. Right? In fact, I should have covered that in the video, which I did not. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the comments, guys. Unlimited protection. Microsoft, specifically Sarah Bond, talks about future Xbox hardware all the time. Hardware isn't priority, but it's still important. Exactly. Unlimited production. And there's 2 other videos that I was thinking about doing because Sarah Bond got interviewed. One of them is the person's reading the interview that they did with her, her quotes. Another one, I believe it was a video interview. I got to go look for them. But I will do that because Sarah Bond, for all the people sitting up there that Xbox is dead, console's dead, all this kind of stuff, Sarah Bond, the people that are actually working at Xbox, the lady who's actually in charge of all this kind of stuff, already talking about how they have consoles lined up and what the future is, like you said, when it comes to the hardware. Right, guys, you know how long it took Xbox to get rid of Xbox Live, the traditional Xbox Live, to bring everybody over? Right, they just recently did that. Microsoft is smart, man. They're not gonna get rid of their cash cow. And the one thing about I can tell you this much about people that own Xboxes and the hardware is they get a lot of money from us because we're constantly purchasing things. We're constantly buying in their ecosystem, and they're not gonna get rid of that. And again, the whole thing with the oh wait, hold on, let me see. Google Poll says Xbox selling 30 million this gen still matters a lot. No fake narrative can change that. And I also add on to that, Google, I don't believe PlayStation 5 sold as much as Sony's saying they are. That's why they use the tag shipped, right? Because you can't tell me, look, dude, I know you guys will argue till you blue in the face, man. It ain't, dude, it's the stats don't add up. It just doesn't. And this is not me hating on PlayStation. You guys already know I can't stand Sony and I can't stand PlayStation. But that's besides the point, dude. In this economy, there's no way that they're selling these type of consoles. And if they're selling these types of consoles, dude, what are people buying? Because that's the other kicker, right? This is the thing that when Phil Spencer had his moment when he said it's profitable, right? Every time Phil says something, every time that you have to remember that he's representing Microsoft, not just Xbox, Microsoft as a whole. Again, I say this on the video, man. If something happens that's put out there, it can move decimal points when it comes to Microsoft, right? And they don't want that, right? So that's why he's very careful in what he's saying. Like from my interpretation of it, when he's talking about they're profitable, is like the lady showed the chart. They're not where they wanted to be or expected to be. I 100% believe that, right? And I believe that because of the economy, which I talk about all the time on my channel, right? It's other factors outside of what, like if you're in a gaming forum and people are talking Xbox sucks, Xbox this, Xbox that, they're going broke, they don't make money, all this kind of stuff, right? When you see Phil talk about it, just keep that in mind, right? And that's my interpretation of what he's trying to say. It's just that they're not at the point where they need to be. Again, like I said in my previous video, there's milestones that these companies they want to hit. Because everything Microsoft does as a company, it's all about the stats and the numbers, man. I know that's not every single thing, dude. That's just how they run things. They're a big organization. Right? I work for a big organization, probably the biggest organization in the world. Right? And so I see it firsthand, right? And the hoops you got to jump through and the stuff that you got to come with, especially when times are tough, man. When money's tight, dude, people come up with all kind of stuff. Some of it's to get them more money. Some is just to keep people to save jobs. All of that comes into play. A little less than what Sony makes annually is exactly Xbox and Sony aren't in a war. Sony will never win the war due to money alone. Oh, yeah, definitely. Again, this is why I don't ever feel Sony is the market leader in anything, really. Good point. Hold on, dude. Let me, one second, dude. Hold on. Hold on. Please bear with me, guys. Again, I thought I was recording a video. That's how bad I am at this stuff. I thought I was recording a video, not going live. Unlimited, I dropped you a link if you want to jump in. If you have time. If you have time. Sorry, guys. Let me. Sebastian G MSFP. This is just sad. I thought it was charming to have 2.5 consoles per generation from 3 different companies. Yeah, I mean that's the reality now. When it comes to this, and what it is this is my, again, a lot of stuff is just from my perspective of why they're doing this. Both companies, it's no different than what Apple and Samsung do, right? There's a big market. They look at gaming as a big market, right? So maybe you're buying the Series S, or maybe you bought the Xbox One S or Xbox One X, right? Or better yet, you didn't buy the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X, but you had an Xbox One, right? And so then they come out with the Series S and the Series X, right, to reach the people that don't have the console yet, right? And then the people on the Xbox One, they're hoping that they'll upgrade, right? And they're also hoping that the Series S or the One S and the One X, they might upgrade. I mean, hardcore guys like me, I got every one of them, right? I'm a day one adopter of all their stuff, right? But not everybody's like that, right? And also got to take into consideration that they're looking at the market of when they look at everybody, they're also looking at the points in time that people um, come over, right, to do. Maybe they're going to upgrade their console, which a lot of times has to do with holidays or special occasions. I mean, that's to me, that's one of the reasons why they do that. Google Pro XSX and XSS will probably top at 60 million by the end of the generation. Yeah, so the whole thing that they're targeting, which is why they're also going to PC and mobile, right? And again, Phil talked about that, guys, about the digital age, this generation that we're in. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Unlimited production again. I feel bad for Microsoft because the economy has really, it's put a wrench in their works, so to speak. I mean, it's affecting everybody, right? And Microsoft. I mean, I don't care how much money you have. If people don't have money to spend, that's just the reality of it, right? And I think that's why when you see a lot of the stuff that Microsoft does now, right, they're not immune, man. Tech industry used to be immune, but it's not like that anymore at all. But Unlimited, I sent you the link. Sorry if I missed you. It's on. I sent it to you on Twitter. If you want to jump in, and then you can really give your opinion. Sebastian says, I've never even owned an Xbox One nor an Xbox Series X and S before, but yet I already love the fact that Xbox Series X can play emulators without giving me the need to connect my TV with the computer. Yeah, and Microsoft is not opposed to it at all. I saw a news story where Nintendo is trying to put a whammy on people trying to make emulators. Nintendo's a different beast, right? They're very protective of their content. Microsoft, not so much. So, yeah, that's good, dude. I know Hebot's another one. He loves doing emulators. Talks about it all the time. I think Sega Man does it as well. As you guys can see, how technically challenged I am. I really don't have time. I mean, I could do this stuff if I really wanted to, guys. I just be honest with you, I just don't have the time. I'm at home because of personal reasons today, so that's why I'm doing this podcast. There's the man. Look, brother, I am so sorry because I thought I was recording a video. Right. So what I did was I was on the YouTube part of it, commenting so I could pause it because I don't have those screens. So I'm over pausing it. So I pop over to StreamYard and there's all these comments.
Yeah.
So I was trying to ignore everybody. I thought I was recording.
Oh man, nah, that made me laugh. That made me laugh hard when you said that you thought you're doing a recording.
See, so don't be picking on my boy Sega Man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us out there.
I was just enjoying it, man. I was enjoying that video. Good video. And but as you know, Gogo Pro was saying, they're using clickbait. My thing is, when Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal, when they do gaming, I don't go there for the nitty gritty details.
Yeah.
It's just that they could just provide some of like the financial context is it's the stuff that I kind of enjoy. And I enjoyed hearing, and there's also power in hearing the journalists outside of gaming say what we be saying all the time. How Xbox, the part where the guy said the amount Xbox spent on these acquisitions, specifically the $75 billion for Activision Blizzard, that's almost as much as Sony makes all together. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I like when they say it is because it's kind of this weird phenomenon where if you're a fan of something and you study it and you know it, people don't believe you because they'll think, well, you're just being a fanboy. But when somebody from outside say what you're saying, there's kind of more legitimacy to it to a lot of people, and so that's just going to hold weight because there really is this delusion. And that's why the title got to Gogo Poe about Xbox lost the console war and for many of us who are looking at everything, it's like, what war? I mean, realistically, the only reason why we talk about Sony and Microsoft in the same breath is because they both happen to make video games.
Yeah.
But take that away, Microsoft is outside of console sales, which everything always acknowledges that's not the money maker in gaming. Xbox is so far ahead of Sony that's not even funny, right? That's why they could drop the money they did on Minecraft, Bethesda, and now Activision. And while they're most likely preparing to buy a Ubisoft, Sega, or WB Games, right?
Yeah.
It's because of how deep their pockets run, and they understand how to make money. And as much as people don't like always used to tear Xbox down for the Halo, Gears of War as well, Halo made like $2 billion. Oh, not and we're not even talking about the gaming revenue. That's just for everything that has Halo's name outside of gaming. So Xbox knows what they're doing. And you mentioned a few minutes ago about, well, the current economy has really thrown a wrench in their plans, and it has. But to Xbox credit, they seem to be really good at, okay, we're going to pivot here now, and they're going to be able to get on track later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, because fortunately, economies, like everything, up and down. There's ebbs and flows. There's, you're going to have rough times and good times. And right now, it's unfortunately a rough time with the economy. But so that's why with Xbox, it's like, as an Xbox fan, I don't worry about them on the business aspects. You know what I'm saying? And also their ability to feed Game Pass and all this other stuff and give us what we want. And you said something really brilliant, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember word for word about how Xbox meets you where you are.
Yeah.
Very, very, very astute observation with that take, and how they're not really leaving people behind the way that they keep saying. It's more so that Xbox does something that I really appreciate. Even as I fully admit I'm a dinosaur who still buys games physical, they see the numbers. They see that, like, on Xbox specifically, something like 90% of their game sales are digital now. And so think about how huge 90% is. So of course you're going to feed into that, right? And it might suck for me and Hebot because we still like to put our discs in our consoles. But the truth of the matter is, when 90% of the people are on your stores, buying your games, or however they're accessing it, it's smart to reach them, make things easy for them, and find every way to play your digital. Because the thing about my physical games is only limited to my console, but my digital games, I could access some of them on my PC. And it sounds like soon enough, all the digital games you own, you could access through cloud gaming, which that's going to be a huge move for them as well, right?
Yeah. So I finished listening to You, Sega Man, and Tuck, and you brought that up about how they're, what was it, next year they might, every single game you own will be in the cloud or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Dude, that's crazy. You said that, I was like, are you serious? Dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
Every game I own, dude, a lot of us own over 700 games. On top of the stuff of the games, like, I've cut down on my physical just because of space. But I mean, I have a lot of games on digital, and to me, that's something. And I, when you said that, it's kind of why I did this video. I like hearing news like that because that's just another stepping stone to me to not worry. It's another assurance for me to not worry because it falls in. It's a stepping stone, right? It falls. It's that piece of the plan that gets put in, that gets filled in to reassure you that your purchase for Xbox is future proof, in my opinion.
Right.
So, like, a lot of the stuff that I look at when it comes to Xbox, I have my own hangups, dude. I do not like our games going over to Sony. I've talked about that, right? I do not like that Phil is doing that. But when I pull myself out of my feelings, right, and then I look at everything for what it is, right? It does make sense in a way. I don't like it, but this is where I'm thinking, like, okay, well, they're going to meet everybody where they are, because if they're doing that, dude, if they're working with GeForce Now, if they're working to digitize your whole backlog that you can play it anywhere, right? All of this stuff that they're buying. I told you about I mentioned about the nuclear power plant, right? that they're trying to. They're
Yeah.
trying to, 3 Mile Island.
Mhm.
I believe it's that one, right? But I just thought it was funny because like for 2 weeks they were touting their carbon footprint, and then the next story that came during Tokyo Game Show, oh yeah, Microsoft's gonna try to relaunch nuclear energy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nuclear energy isn't as dirty as people thought. You
Yeah,
know, you
and
did I think it was like Chernobyl, 3 Mile, and I think it was like the Fukushima power plant in Japan. Those incidents scared a generation of people off nuclear. But it turns out that nuclear is actually a lot cleaner. It's not what people. Yeah, so it's not like them trying to bring it back is going to destroy the environment.
so,
Like
yeah.
and this obviously isn't about power, but just to throw it out there, dig it, all the resources that are dug for what's considered clean energy, as it caused a lot of human harm because there are humans that are
Yeah.
being used
Yeah.
in those industries. So so it turns out running a factory or using the human labor is not just, hey, an 8-hour shift to dig in rocks. These are actually extremely dangerous jobs, what I'm saying, in some of the poorest countries. And that is and it's turned out, well, that's a far bigger impact than just running a damn power plant. So I just want to throw that out there on why, it's funny now, but just some context for those who might be wondering why anyone would do that.
Well, I think everybody still has a hang up on coal, which they should really reinvestigate that stuff. For
Uh-huh.
me personally, I thought it was interesting just because Microsoft is, helping the developers of Stalker, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So I was just like, I wonder if that's like a Freudian slip with Microsoft. But I mean, to me, it's interesting because they know. So the reason why it's important to me is because they're putting all that effort into it, and it's
Mhm.
not just Microsoft, dude. It's Google, Amazon. It's all these guys, right? Because they want. It's not. It's about being in the cloud. It's about the data, and it's about the AI, right? And they're looking at this stuff, and they're like, our grid as it stands right now is not going to be able to do any of that. So that's what's going to push this. That's what's pushing this stuff forward. And when these companies are pushing forward, guys, it's going to happen. So why does it matter if you're an Xbox guy? Just keep this in mind because, like Unlimited said, right? If you're able to just, if they're able to put all your stuff on the cloud and you can just pull your content whenever you want to, because Microsoft is the originator of the backwards compatibility, right? If you guys forgot, when Phil came out, I think it was at 2015 on the stage talked about it, right? So again, if you just look at everything, all the steps that Microsoft is doing, and so when you look at the future, like for some of you guys don't think Microsoft is going to have a console, right? When you look at everything Microsoft is doing, both 10 years ago up until now, you can kind of see that's the direction they're going. So I'm not worried about them not having a console. Right? The only way for me, like they won't have a console, is that like the market has to collapse when it comes to that type of thing. When it comes to console, right? But there's a lot of people, right? You never want to cut off your nose to spite your face, guys, right? And they're making money from that. And like the lady in the video was saying, right? It's that revenue that they're making. This is why Sony went the gas route, right? Games as a service, because they need that flow because they no longer have COD. This is why they did Concord. They did it badly, right? It didn't work out for them. But like I think Unlimited, you were saying this, right? That's not their forte.
Yeah, no, that's that David Cohen said Xbox just announced a new JRPG. Oh, I'll look into that when I get a chance.
Where,
I'm
where are
I,
we? My boss.
yeah, I'm doing my work from home while streaming thing at the moment, so I'm kind of multitasking in
No,
the
no,
wrong way. But yeah, that's really cool. Something that you said. Oh yeah, this is what I want to add to what you're saying. So
sure.
something that Xbox is good at, and this is controversial, but and it's controversial because it sounds very corporate slavish. That is that when they're right, how their ability to be right on future trends. Because I'll never forget 2013, how dramatic everybody was about. I can't resell my physical games and something like that, right? And then
Right.
the exact same people were digital halfway through the last generation. The exact same people who were complaining in 2013, by 2016 they were all fully digital, right?
Yeah.
And then for me, the backwards compatible was another one because I was one of the, because when backwards compatibility was first announced, I was one of those people. If I was active on my YouTube channel like I am now, I would have been saying, well, I'm not going to use it. Then you get there's some games I never played on the 360. I play on my Xbox One, and it turned out to be one of the greatest features on the console. And that's how I found something like the reason why some of my favorite 360 games I even enjoyed them, like Kings of Avalor and Alice Madness Returns, with thanks to backwards compatibility. So I never heard them games or played them on 360.
Right.
So their ability to be right with future trends is something that they seem to be. I don't know how they do it. I don't know if it's just how good market research is or whatever their resources are at Microsoft and Xbox. But I've noticed that their ability to it's controversial when they first do it, but they end up being right is a surprisingly good track record they got going on.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is why I don't sweat those type of things. I mean, the devil's in the details, as they say, and they got some of the best guys there that do that. It's. I mean, I would say that for us, maybe it's in the execution sometimes that they do it right.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you can't help it, dude. You could be ahead of the ball game, but sometimes you're too ahead of the ball. Right? You know, Sega. Again, you guys know I'm a huge Sega fan. Was one of the Achilles heels of Sega. Because Sega was like that. That's why I like Microsoft and Xbox so much, because they can carry that on without the worries of money. That's what I loved about that video when they broke down the purchases and they used those graphs.
Yeah.
To give people perspective, man. Because again, guys, Microsoft owns Xbox, right? Microsoft is huge. They are huge. I mean, there's some plus and minuses. And to your point, Unlimited. Like when I hear like that guy Jason, what's his name, Stryver, whatever the heck that dude is. I guess he did a podcast. Yeah, he did a podcast and he was talking about like how there's turmoil going in Xbox. And then like I watched a little bit of what somebody shared. And then I'm just listening to this. Is like, yeah, bro, this is like every corporate boardroom right now.
Yeah.
That you're talking about, dude. And when you talk about this is the kind of thing though I do think about, right? Where they're clashing heads. Right. Because there is a corporate level and there is the Xbox division. Right. So and that's just natural, dude. And it's like that's why I sit there and I'm listening to these people and I'm like, dude, do any of you guys have jobs? Have you guys not been called into the office by your boss? And then your boss looks at you and says, hey, look, productivity was great last quarter, but this is where we are. How can we improve this? Yeah, I have the supervisor I have now. He's a cool dude, man. He has like 3 different things that we're coming on to show our worth as workers right now. Sure. And we're just one section of a huge division, right? And then they have these division meetings where all of this stuff is thrown up there, right? And I'm just sitting there to myself when I watch these people, I listen to these guys. I was like, dude, I don't think any of you. Do you guys just do YouTube all day? Is this your source of income? Because in the real world, which is in the corporate side of things, right, this stuff matters. Yeah. That's why I use the term decimal point. That stuff shifts, man, and people get laid off, dude. You know, you get a letter if you get a notice from HR, right? And especially at this economy, man, HR getting a notice from themselves. That's how bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one. But dude, yeah, that's true.
And then in the meantime, you post something that Microsoft let go of 1,000 workers. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah. They're a big corporation. I'm surprised it wasn't more. And again, I don't revel in that, guys. And we don't know the fine instruments of what's going on. It's just like where I work, there was people that was let go, but a lot of it was by choice, right? Because contract shifted, and these people didn't have a job, but it didn't bother them because they was like, oh, that's okay. I'm going to bounce with my friend, go back to DC, and I'm going to work over there. I'm going to get paid, and the cost of living is better than hopefully where I live. It's all of that stuff, dude, that nobody takes into consideration.
Especially for a company like Microsoft, very, very, very high chance that they made enough to do pretty well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even like they do well enough to even if they live in an expensive area, they should be all right.
Yeah.
This isn't like laying off a mother who's working as a house cleaner or something, where that job is holding down the family because that's kind of all they got. They it's like, this is Microsoft here. So, but like, and that's the thing. Nobody takes any pride in layoffs. It's just one of them things that it's going to happen. And then when we talk about it, we don't talk about it callously. We're just breaking down on why it's most likely happening. And even little stuff like course correction from overhiring during the pandemic. that's a real phenomenon that the tech industry really had, because they were. I remember because I remember like I had a few friends who who some computer engineers specifically, man. They were getting like 2-3 paychecks at the peak of COVID because they're working from home and they're just getting some tech jobs very, very easily. And then when that started to change, though, as things started to get more back to normal, and some of those jobs were we're having hybrid work hours and stuff like that. It turns out that there's a lot of crisscrossing going on, and some of them were getting laid off at certain jobs because the jig was up. Basically, stuff like that was literally happening that nobody adds context to.
Well, I add even more context to it. I know a couple of people. They were living high, bro.
Yeah.
They loved it, and they got too used to working from home.
Mm-hmm.
And then the company was like, "Look, dude, you guys got to come in." And they're like, "No, why do I need to come in? I can." And you know what? It was funny because they're arguing this point, and I actually agree with their point. There was no reason for them because they're working fine.
Yeah.
Everything was going. They could do it from home, but then the company was like, "No, you guys need to come in now."
Right.
And then they were like, "Well, I don't think I like this, so no, I'm not coming in." And then one thing leads to another, right? Paperwork gets filed. You know what I'm saying? So, there's a lot of, again, I like the word you used the last time in the video. You said about nuance, right? There's a lot of nuance behind all this kind of stuff. And if you guys just listen to the gaming media, Microsoft just basically got all these people, told them they're fired, made them clean out their desk, picked them out of the office, told them not only that, but took away their parachute as well as their insurance, right? And medical benefits, right? Which they never do, right?
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of times Microsoft will give them more than enough warning. Now, again, also keep in mind that Microsoft picked up a lot of these companies that already have problems and issues already, okay? And so Microsoft coming in to be the good guy like they like to be, well, especially Xbox, right? But if there's problems, that just doesn't go away with a paycheck.
No.
That's stuff that's there, and from a lot of the stuff, right? Unlimited, we heard, right? Because we keep up with this stuff with what was going on in Activision. It was pretty deep.
Yeah.
Right. So all of this stuff matters. And I'm not trying to make excuses, dude. Just trying to be realistic about this kind of stuff. Because again, guys, for me, it has to make all of this stuff has to make sense. Like if Microsoft really hates, just wanted to get rid of, what's the game? Who's the Hi-Fi Rush guys?
Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush.
If Microsoft didn't like indie games and wanted to get rid of Tango GameWorks, then why are they still working on what's the zombie game we like?
State of Decay 3.
Yeah, those guys.
Undead Labs. Yeah, Undead Labs.
Wouldn't that by that thought process they would get rid of Undead Labs? Because Undead Labs been working on their game for what, a decade? I don't know how long they've been working on it.
Yeah, at this point it's been good 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been no. Let me correct myself. 4 years because it was announced in 2020.
Right. So for me, it's kind of like, okay, if all of this stuff matters with Tango GameWorks and the other company, and then the other stuff that was going on with Redfall, why are these other companies still there and thriving? And why do they look happy? And why are they getting events? And why are they still showing their games? Why is Microsoft the only company making game shows that we can all enjoy?
Yeah.
Right? Like okay, if so, there's an outlier, and that outlier is Tango GameWorks, and that outlier was Redfall. And then you do a little bit of deep diving. I didn't have to do much, right? There was issues over at Redfall. A lot of the stuff that was coming on looks like it was just employees being upset, right? These guys were no longer affiliated with the game. Microsoft, again, Xbox being nice, just we're trying to put the game out for them, right? And for us, which was a good game.
Yeah.
Right? Had some problems, but still a great game. And then, of course, the Tango GameWorks, I just referenced Platinum Games and Microsoft relationship, because a lot of the stuff that goes on in Japan, it's all about Microsoft's fault. Or you guys don't understand how Japan does business. And I'm not hating on Japan for this. I understand they do business.
No, not at all.
No, because the way Japan does business, like in the U.S., we would consider it not good business practices, or we don't like it here, or we wouldn't want it to happen to us personally, right? But in Japan, that's just doing business. So I would go along the lines of Xbox and Microsoft going that extra mile, as opposed to them just trying to get rid of studios indiscriminately.
Yeah.
So again, because it has to add up, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's a very good way to look at things, and that's how you get a grounded, realistic response to things. Because we live in the worst era of how the way inform. It's kind of weird. You think in an era where we have everything at our fingertips, um, people would be as factual as possible, but it's the opposite for some reason, where people seem to have no reason just lying their butts off or being as extreme, and then when you get a situation like today's show that you did, where the facts are out there, everything just kind of when you get the facts, it just calms everything down and stuff starts making sense, like you keep saying.
Yeah, because I mean, being as big as Microsoft is, a lot of that stuff you can't do on a whim.
Yeah.
So I will applaud them for their fluidity. They're very fluid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I give them credit for that. And they can't tell us everything. So you have to kind of surmise. And for me personally, the reason why I'm like that Unlimited, because it doesn't behoove me to lie for them.
Yeah.
Right? Because it doesn't help me. I don't work for them. I don't get paid by them.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything negative that they do can affect my bottom line because like I said earlier, I have over 700 digital games. I have a bunch of physical games. I have all the consoles. I'm in their ecosystem. I'm paid up, I think, in my Game Pass, so I think it runs out soon.
Oh, really?
But I'm still.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good until halfway through 2025. I stacked up a while ago for like 2 years.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to get my points up to 300,000. I'm trying to get it back up there. So one thing you guys got to keep in mind, guys, anytime you make a purchase on anything Xbox, you get money back.
Yep.
So that $17.99 that is now it's $19.99. I'm probably paying like $18.74 or something like that, or $18. Right?
Yo, there's someone. I saw someone. I think it was man. He's someone. He'll be in our comments sometimes. I just don't remember his name. He had like 700,000 points on reward points. I'm like, dude, spend them points, man. You could get like like $20 to $50 gift cards.
But I think what he does is he doesn't use it for controllers and consoles and stuff.
Is that how he uses it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's.
Yeah, because I saw that, man. I was like, dude, he's got like 10 years worth of points.
Yeah. Sorry, that's it.
Oh no, you good. You good.
Wait. I gotta say, look at the Google poll. You mean talent acquisition? That's such a stupid rename for HR. The economy is bad when people. You see that? That's how you know the economy come up with this stuff.
Yeah,
we got this thing at work, dude. This dude came up with it, and I guess his wife's Japanese. So he did this with his group, and now everybody's using it like some kind of board thing, but he has a Japanese name. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, dude. Because that guy, he's prior military, so he married somebody from Japan.
Right.
Oh my gosh, but Unlimited. I have to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I gotta go. Dude, today's a personal day for me.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Because I didn't, dude. I'm honest with you, man. I thought when I came back on and I saw that the stream was like, oh my god.
That's hilarious, man. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So Sega man, dude. Misery loves company. So there you go. Hey, Kilan Blood. Sorry, man. I'm not ignoring you, brother. I'm just kind of I'm all off kilter because I would like to put some of your comments. I just don't have the time.
Yeah. I'm about to wrap it up. It was a good little quick thing, man.
Yeah, dude. Next time I'll just invite you since I don't know how to do recordings. I just do it from the jump that we could all talk during the video.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing something good. I was like, I'll put this up. It's gonna drop at 11 because it's supposed to drop at 11. Yeah. And I was gonna drop at 11, and then I'll check it out later. Then I pop back in, and there's like a bunch of people comments in the thing. I was like, oh, somebody made a mistake. It's like Sony's roadmap.
Well, hold on. That ain't fair because you actually got content out there. Sony doesn't.
Yeah. At least my content ain't gonna cost $400 million.
Yeah.
Dude, I could have failed for $1 million. You should have given me that money.
Yeah, man. See.
Anytime you try and copy somebody, dude, that's always a bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. But that's Sony's history, man.
Yeah.
Do you know how that, especially Nintendo, the way that they copy off Nintendo is sickening.
Yeah. True.
The move when the Wii was popular, PlayStation, and that's just from that generation. By the way, them copying from Nintendo goes back to when they first came into gaming. I'm just naming some of their most infinite stuff, like PlayStation All Stars being a Smash Bros. Whip-off. I could go on and on, but yeah, Sony and originality, nah, that's not there. Like their originality, it was always the third party stuff.
Yeah.
And so whenever I hear you or others be like, that's the Sony back in the day, I'd be like, yeah, but it was more like the Sony that they threw money at, or that the PS2 was so big, game publishers were okay just putting the game on PlayStation, nothing else. But Sony themselves, I don't know.
That licensing fee, man, that was a big thing back then.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so Nintendo, they were a little bit. That's the one point in time where I could tell Nintendo was like. Plus, there's Nintendo's attitude, which isn't a bad attitude. They made their console for their game, so if you're gonna put your stuff on their console, you had to put your stuff around them.
Yeah. The problem with that mentality was that it's fine when you're the only guys in town, but it's why Sega was able to swoop in and win it's over so easily.
Yeah.
Because again, when you're the only guys in town, you can set whatever rules you want. But once you get somebody who's hungry for your spot, you gotta play it a little differently, and you don't want to piss off a large part of of people who's putting your product out there. And then not only that, software has always been the money maker in the console industry. So now Nintendo's just leaving money on the table. Sega and eventually Sony in the 90s were more than happy to pick up from. So, that's where Nintendo, that's why I get upset when Nintendo does some of the stuff they're doing now with the emulators. Like, dude, Nintendo, you're not selling or making money off these old ass games. Just let them old ass games fly, make a new version or remastered, and make money off it.
I don't think they can because they don't have the infrastructure in place to do it.
Oh yeah, You're probably right. You're probably right, but I don't know. It's just I don't know. I just think that there's a different way than to just keep thinking that shutting everything down. Like there's people are clearly hungry for old Nintendo stuff, and they just don't seem to know how to take advantage of it.
You gotta have that Square Enix moment. Square Enix got rid of that dude, and then yeah. Once you get that, then and they open them floodgates.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, because Nintendo's beloved in Japan.
Yeah,
and the generation.
And rightfully so, man.
Yeah.
As much as I get on Nintendo, they have deserved their position that they're at. It's kind of similar to how Microsoft has been around for 40, maybe 50 years by now.
Yeah.
And you don't maintain your position at the top Microsoft has for decades without doing something right. And as much as Nintendo frustrates me, and is why I personally can't be a Nintendo fan like that, they're clearly do a lot right to where they could maintain that status, even if it's just for now.
I know for me is like I compare them a lot to Disney. They have that type of power. Power. They're not as dumb as Disney. I give them that.
Well, I don't think anybody is that dumb.
Like Mario, like I told you for that Mario movie, the Super Mario movie, man. Like they made it here in the West, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we want to change this, and Nintendo stepped in and said, no, you better change it back. And then they were like, well, what if we don't? And Nintendo's like, okay, bye. That's kind of what makes them Nintendo, because they do that. They put that value on their brand, and then the studio changed. And you can kind of see it in the movie because the focus, according to the reports I read, the focus was supposed to be on Peach,
right?
That they wanted to focus on, and then Nintendo stepped in and said, "No, our character's Mario. Focus on him."
Right.
So, and look, Nintendo, I give them credit that much, man. They'll stick by their guns.
Yeah.
Dude, hey, Keelan, man, I see you posting a lot, bro. Hold on, I saw one. I gotta. Where was it, dude? Sebastian, bro. Thank you, brother. You posting some great stuff too. Again, sorry guys, I got kind of caught off guard. Here we go. Yo, I'm missing out on some great gaming experience just because you love Xbox is crazy. Dude, do you have an Xbox and do you have Game Pass? Because that if you don't, that shoes on can fit your foot too.
Yeah.
The door swings both ways on that. Because if you don't have Game Pass, that's how I think too, bro. When I see people like say Game Pass sucks, don't get Game Pass. I'm like, bro, you're missing out. If you're a gamer, you're missing out on so many games to play. Because that's how bad it is with Game Pass.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
like Sarah Bond said it perfectly. So he goes, oh yeah, Game Pass has a backlog now. And she was fine. She was proud of that. She was like, mission accomplished. Like the look on her face, I was like, dang.
Yeah.
What else it says? And you know, GTA 6 is going to run better in the PlayStation 5. Bro, you better hope that Microsoft don't buy it.
Yeah, don't buy Take-Two before then. Now I want them to buy Take-Two just because he said that.
Yeah. I know, like, you know, Microsoft has this complex, or at least I know Xbox does definitely, but I think Microsoft as well.
Oh, but hold on, but before you say that statement, let me just say this: it's not a got you. That means nothing to me when someone says, "Ooh, this third-party game might run better on PlayStation." Okay, and so what? And it's gonna run better on someone's PC. Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Yeah, I'm still going. If I want the game, I'm still going to buy it on Xbox. That literally means absolutely nothing to me.
You know, I was saying thank you to Dea because you know Dea, I believe she uses Steam. But we were talking, and then I was like, yeah, thank you because I looked at some of the games that sell well on Steam, and some of those games have come over to Xbox.
Yeah,
and probably wouldn't have made it over if it didn't chart on Steam. But when I saw some of those games, I was kind of like, dude, those games are not because I don't know anything about PC gaming, so I just would assume that everything is like, takes a lot of, is either graphically intense or takes a lot of
not even close.
Yeah, dude, a lot of the stuff, and that's why I ended up like looking. I was like, oh wow, that's actually a lot of the games are games that I would play.
Yeah.
And a lot of those games have been brought over to Xbox, and some of them are even in Game Pass. Right? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And that's one of the things that helped me change my mentality on all of that stuff.
Yeah. No,
I mean, I didn't believe it anyway, but I was kind of like, after looking at all of that stuff, I was like, yeah, dude, it don't matter. Nobody cares.
I wonder, are there any big AAA blockbuster type PC games that are just stuck on PC? I don't know PC well enough to know. Yeah, I'm not sure either. I've always been curious of that. If this whole time there's because Crysis was on consoles, but I remember that hell can your PC run Crysis thing that they used to say. Right. I don't know if PC has something like that, but I've always been curious, man. Dude, I have lost the chat. Bro. Yeah, Keelan just wants to troll. Oh, that's fine. He just wants to troll. It's not going to change us. Yeah. The PS5. This dude out here trying to do a sales pitch for PS5 Pro on an Xbox podcast. Dude, you should be playing the games, Keelan. What games? I'm not lie to you, man. After I'm done with this, I got to run errands. But after I'm done with that, dude, I'll be playing the new, the one that just dropped. The Mana game that just dropped. The action one. What is it called? I want to say Tales of Mana. Tales of Mana. Oh, Trials of Mana. Trials of Mana. That's Tales of Mana is the one you playing? That's one that I beat was Visions of Mana. Oh, Visions of Mana. Yeah. And that's the one that Vision of Man. That's the one that that one's not on Game Pass. I bought it with my own money when it first came out last month. Yeah. So I'm not playing the older version. Well, I'll probably jump into that later. But and then Legends of Mana is also on Game Pass. That was I'm probably going to play last. It's more like a remaster of the retro version, which is fine. It's just that for me, confession time. So for me, when I play them super old games, sometimes they can feel like a product of their time, and it takes me a while to get used to them. Because they're like, damn, this is a little too retro. It's like when I tried playing Conker's Bad Fur Day again. Great game, but I forgot what game was like when you didn't use the right stick to control the camera. Oh, so so I'm getting stuck everywhere. I'm like, what the hell? Where the hell am I going? So it took me. I'm not gonna lie, it took me a couple hours actually to get used to playing the old way with that game, man.
But that's what I was telling people. The Capcom collection, we're getting it,
Mhm.
and I'm glad we're getting it, and I'm happy. But I mean, people that I know that I'd be more upset about them. Not really.
Mhm.
And so I was talking to one guy. I was like, bro, do you realize how slow Children of the Atom is? Because I remember playing it back on
Mhm.
my console back in the day, dude, and it was slow. And then
Yeah.
what ends up happening is because these things would happen, like they'd be in the arcade, then they drop out, or they
Mhm.
get put to the back, and then the newer games would come in, and with each iteration, the graphics got better, the games got faster, and then
Mhm.
at some point they just got ridiculous. And so that's how I was trying to explain to people. Like sometimes when you guys play these games, you guys can get a rude awakening because it doesn't play like you remember, or it doesn't look as
Yeah.
good as you think it does. Now, with what they're doing with the mana, and I like what I did about Tokyo Game Show. For me, Tokyo Game Show was a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
my joke is it would have been 10 out of 10, but they didn't buy Sega.
Yeah. That.
But when you look at the stuff that they presented, it wasn't
Mhm.
just like these old games coming, like you're saying they were updated. So even though they're older games, it looks like they put the time and effort to at least make it near or next to like Yuden Chronicles
Mhm.
or the other game I like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Threads of Time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like they were cognizant of that and they tried to
Mhm.
like you can tell that they updated it. So yeah, I'm more than happy to. And then some of these games I didn't play, man, because I was either Sega centric or then
Mhm.
I just went Xbox only. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah, and understandably so. This is something that like other than Gogo Po, most people just don't realistically are not going to play every game out there.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Now Gogo Po, man, he's like I played all the Sony exclusives, and I know for a fact he be gaming on Xbox. So Gogo Po's that dude. But other than him, other than Gogo Po, nobody. So that's why when people, if people miss out on the game, I don't get too upset over it because I'm like, yeah, hell, I miss out on games all the time, man.
Yeah,
That's why I like talking to y'all because he bought or Segment or E-Rock will be playing a game. I didn't even I wouldn't have interest in some every once in a while I wouldn't have interest in until y'all talk about it. Then I'll play it and it's like, oh shit, they're right. This is amazing. You know. And that's how the gaming community feels like it used to be instead of all this. There are a lot less Keelans out there than there are now who just wants to get a reaction out of you, and
yeah,
so so that they'll come to your show and just say all this goofy stuff. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, it means nothing to me, man. I mean, good. I
yeah.
mean, if you're happy dropping $700 to play games slightly better on the Xbox, be my guest. But I promise you, nobody here is going to be upset that GTA 5 runs at 61 frames on the PS5 Pro and 60 frames on the Series X. That's just not going to mean nothing to me.
Look at David Cohen put only oponies would say Japanese games will sell on Xbox. However, it turns out Japanese games have done real well on everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And again, guys, like I know I keep on harping on this, but it's like getting blood from a stone. So
Hmm.
these guys in Japan, and then it depends on the developer as well. Like some of these
Hmm.
guys are hungry as well. Because I picked up a couple. I've been picking up like their little indie games and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Playing that, like I
Hmm.
picked up. It was on sale. Ito, which is this zombie game where you have a samurai. Um,
Oh,
you can play a samurai, a ninja,
oh.
or a sumo guy. And it's like you can tell like it's not like optimal for console, but it's just so much fun. And it's so much out
Uh,
there. It's zombies. I like everything zombie.
that sounds interesting.
So just keep this in mind. Like a lot of the stuff that Phil's doing, dude, just rewind. Maybe I'll try and find the video and do a video on it.
Hmm.
I'll try and find the video with Phil where he talks about 2015, where he laid
Hmm.
out what he wanted to do, and everybody, Microsoft it was PK'd on Microsoft. So everything Phil said, he's stupid, he's dumb, all this kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
everything he talked about in 2015 in this interview, you're experiencing it now,
yeah.
right, in real time. So when I was listening to him at Tokyo when he was doing the Tokyo Game Show, and I see all the stuff, the relationship that they're building with all these Japanese developers and all these other people in Asia that you don't see because the same thing was happening here in the US. You weren't seeing all of this stuff, and then
Hmm.
bam, they buy studios, and then bam, you have Game Pass, and then now you're having a hard time playing games because all these games are coming in because of all this stuff that they worked out with people. That's what they're doing, and they're going to do the same thing in Asia. Right?
Yeah.
One of the big things I hope that they do is they work more with Pearl Abyss, because I really want to see Doki B
Yeah.
hit the mainstream.
Because
to me that's
they've had some Pro Abyss games on Game Pass too, right? Black Desert, right, was on there at one point, so I could see it happening.
I think Black Desert is coming out. Well,
Yeah, you might be right. No, one of them was an MMO that was on Game Pass.
I think it's Black Pearl. I think it's Black Pearl.
Black Pearl, okay, that's what it was, and I guess Black Desert's this RPG that's coming out. That looks pretty good too. Fortunately, for me, it's not a Souls-like. So when you say RPGs in the Souls-like these days, sign me up. I can't stomach those games anymore. There's just too many of them.
Yeah. Oh no, maybe you're right. Pearl Abyss has launched. Oh no, that is Black. I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I think it's Black. But there is a Black Desert game, and if Microsoft can fund that and help them with it, I mean, it was interesting because they did something with Koei Tecmo, right? And they're pushing into South Korea finally. I think they should have been doing this. I mean, I know that they did advertisement last year and the year before, and I know this because I watch a lot of Korean content, and there are commercials, and they just didn't use just anybody, dude. They use like these are famous Korean actors. Like one of them is one of my favorite. I watch all her K dramas. She played the mom, and she walks in on the song. Hey, what are you playing? I was like, hey. I was like, damn, dude. So I mean, for me, that's the next step from Microsoft. That's probably why I enjoyed. Like I was listening to King David, and I think he said it's like a 5 for him, a 4 or 5, and a couple other people were like 2. I mean, I'm no disrespect, dude. I mean, that's their opinion, right? They can have their opinion. But that's why it was such a high moment for me, because I could see like they're laying the foundations.
Right.
And then a couple years from now, man, we're going to be stuck in having the same conversation about not having time to do stuff. I mean, dude, might have to close down this channel, dude, just because time is a commodity.
Yeah.
Especially with the way I do these videos. I gotta those 10-hour days gotta go, man. For all the 10 hours I put in a video, I could have like finished 3 days. But yeah, so let me wrap it up, brother. But any final thoughts, Unlimited?
No, man. I got all my thoughts out. But great show as always, man.
Yeah, bro. Show as always. It was meant to be, man. I bet you, but when you saw the video, he's like, man, I bet you this dude think he recorded.
No. I thought you had a cool little thing going, playing the video and giving your thoughts. I thought it was gonna be more interactive than when you weren't going to the chat. I'm like, okay, I guess you just don't see. I guess this ain't one of them shows you talk to the chat, and then when you're like, oh, am I live? I bust out laughing. So I'm like, no way.
I'm bound and determined to take over for Tuck and Sega Man.
Yeah, man, I could tell.
Dude, I was trying to get in that zone, man. But luckily, I didn't know I was live because that make it even harder. Yeah, okay, cool, man. But hey, Cygnus, what's up, brother? That's because of disparity of sales, Japanese game sales between PlayStation and Xbox. I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's the money, right? I mean, people be throwing fingers at me all the time, but these guys, one thing I know Japanese businesses love is they like making money.
Yeah, I mean, every business does. Yeah, well, most business. I can't say all because I'm unfortunately, I've seen what WB been doing lately, so I can't say all.
Yeah, I'm about to throw Disney back in your face.
Yeah.
Obviously, Disney Marvel haven't got the memo.
Hey, I mean, at least Disney would get lucky, because they had a movie. Oh, Deadpool and Wolverine was a hit for them. So at least WB just been striking out. I don't know what they got going on.
Deadpool and Wolverine was it? Did you hear about all the drama? Dude, what's his name was talking about it because he don't care. The guy
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, man, he was putting them on blast. He was arguing with all the other celebrities. The thing too, and so some people was like, oh, maybe. One guy came up with this theory that they're this is all rehearsed. You know, like they're doing it to drum up. I'm like, nah, man, Disney ain't that smart.
Yeah, no.
Disney Marvel ain't that smart, dude. And you know what? Yeah. It's hitting them where it hurts. So that's where all this stuff came out with how much money the parks are making. Right? Like a lot of people think that it's their movies and stuff. Yeah. Nope, it's all the parks. And they're losing that now because they have to raise the price on everything. And so people are like protesting now. They're like, dude, we can't afford to bring my family here.
Yeah, which I mean, just and that's they should, man. Because so here's the thing. Yeah, the economy ain't good right now. Yeah, inflation was a pain in the butt, but some of these companies took advantage of it and raised prices way too
Oh
high.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
100%.
yeah, they're just flat out committing damn near robbery at this point, man. And so I don't feel bad when people get on Disney because
Yeah,
it's like this is big enough to they would have been big enough to survive this stuff, but no, screw them. With that said, man, you're closing the show, and I still gotta teach you how to end shows, man.
yeah. Sorry, but I do want to
Yeah,
acknowledge the chat real quick. Everybody that's in there, I really appreciate it. But yeah, Unlimited's right because I do have to leave.
yeah.
But I'm sorry, guys. Again, I'll try and get better at this, but don't hold your breath. Honestly, don't. I can tell you right now, I'm about 90-10. I'm getting better at this stuff. I'm just too old. But anyway, man, Unlimited, thank you for being here.
Oh
Chat,
man,
thank you guys. Next time you're in, I'll do just a chat only, or we'll do just
yeah,
a chat thing where we bring it up and then so you guys can have your piece because I like
yeah.
everybody having their piece. All right. So yeah,
All right,
but we out.
all right. Peace.